Now, I believe you got two choices on LinkedIn. You can use it passively, and it's totally fine. Then you would use it for content to learn. You can use it for prospecting, find leads, find out who could be your potential client. But you can't directly sell to them cold. So if you want to use LinkedIn as more of a selling tool, you need to join those networking conversations. And I think both you and Ashanti have covered pretty much everything. But here's been my experience, right? So I haven't been very operational for the last 4 years. I was primarily managing the teams, and I wasn't doing much of the selling. Then about 12 months ago, I had a member of the team going on maternity, so I had to take over some of the accounts, and I started becoming more operational. And when the lockdown happened, I had a bit more spare time, and I thought, well, let me see what this LinkedIn is all about. How can I use it a little bit more? And I started posting. And what I've noticed is that LinkedIn, as you described earlier, plays on the algo, plays on your connection. And 90% of the people viewing my post were people in sales, people in the event industry. None of them are people I wanted to sell to. So I started to think, okay, what can I do to reach out to the people I want to sell to, which in my case at this stage were procurement professionals. And I did exactly all the steps you guys described. I started to engage with some of the key influencers. I Googled it, who are the top influencers in procurement. 50 LinkedIn profiles came up, connected with all of them, started engaging with the post, started commenting, started asking questions, and started posting regularly every day. And the ranking of how many procurement people were viewing my post started to catch up with the salespeople. Now, I know that if you're a salesperson, or if you're even a producer, I know there's a lot of event business people here, you might not necessarily feel like you're an expert, that you can go out there. And I could never post anything too technical about procurement. I wouldn't be able to be credible. So what I started doing is to engage in conversation, ask questions. You know, if I have a good call with a prospect, something is discussed, I might put a statement on my post and ask the audience what they think about it. And I was amazed by how many people started to engage. I think a lot of people use LinkedIn for the very same reason we discussed in here, to raise their own branding, their personal brand. Mm-hmm. So if they see an opportunity to share their knowledge and their expertise, they will jump on it. So if you're new to your industry, if you're if you're at the research stage, researching a new product you want to launch, it's a good opportunity to test the market, put yourself out there, ask questions, and you'll be surprised how many people will start engaging with that content. Because I think the danger here is that a lot of people will fear that imposter syndrome. They think, well, I'm not an expert. I can't go out there and share content. What do I share?
Yeah.
You talked earlier about articles, but I found, one of my best posts this week was simply a statement, about where the industry is going. And, I asked the audience, are you for or you're against? It was about robotics, whether procurements need to be fully automated or still keep some of the human touch. I don't have the answer. I don't know what they should do, but I've asked it, and yet, very good engagement, lots of likes, lots of comments, and lots of views, all from procurement professionals. It wasn't from any of my usual peers within the event sales sector.
Yeah, and I think, Daniele, one thing that, like you said, and I think that when you're talking with someone that is responsible, you're talking with an event business owner, they have certain views, they generally are they know a lot about their industry, etc. When you're talking about someone that's putting conference programs or event programs, they know a lot about it, or product directors, they know a lot about the product. But sometimes the sales individual doesn't kind of feel that they are expert, and as you rightly said it. But I just wanted to add to your element is, you're not an expert, but you are very likely prospecting with a lot of experts.
Yeah.
And you being able to connect one-on-one or one-to-many, or at least share the voice of an expert, I wouldn't say makes you an expert, but entitles you to have a proper conversation about it. And you can you can just bring that in. And I just really want to make that clarification, because I know that there's a lot of people in sales that will do that. So, sorry, Daniele. So one thing that I wanted to ask as well, like, You manage, so you're a LinkedIn extrovert. I will call you that. You wouldn't call yourself that. I will call you that, right? You manage a team of 20 plus individuals. I guess, is there any directive from your point of view? Is there an encouragement, or what would be the tips, or how would you train? How would you encourage and your teams to engage in social?
Well, first of all, we need to stop doing what we traditionally do. And this is posting about your product, discount deadline coming up, last few places left, so-and-so just registered, for a couple of reasons. One is because, again, you're not giving anything to the audience. You're very self-centered to what you want, not what your audience want. And two, because unless you previously engaged with your prospects in a normal conversation, that post will only be seen by your colleagues, by your former uni mates, maybe by your mom and your dad. I used to have, I always used to find amusing how people would like into some of their colleagues' post about their colleagues' product. And I think, well, why you bother liking someone else's product? If you're not selling to them vertical, your audience will not understand why you're sharing the content. The reality is, just keep on doing it, because your audience will not see it anyway, because you're not engaging with them. So stop doing all of it. Some of the worst posts I had in terms of traction were the posts where I copied and pasted a piece of content from one of our events, cold post, just place it there, nobody looked at it, nobody engaged with it. But what people need to start doing is doing the things that we do normally in life, which is it's networking. If I'm having a good conversation, like you say, with you, and then I go and talk to a new prospect, I will mention that conversation on the phone. So nothing stops you from mentioning that on LinkedIn and bringing people together. I had a very good call this morning with the head of procurement from a big retailers. And just by being able to reference some of the conversation I had on LinkedIn, I had such a very good, enjoyable conversation. It led to a very easy sale, because I was talking his language. But the only way I was able to talk to his language was because I've been listening to his language on LinkedIn from his prospect. So that's the first thing that people need to do is just, so you're part of your industry ecosystem. Share what you know. It might not be much. If you don't know much, ask questions. If you read articles, just post what you read. But you gotta become part of that ecosystem online to use that networking platform that is there. If I come to you now and I say, listen, 5 o'clock you finish working, there is at the bar next door, there are 50 procurement people or whatever, 50 industry leaders in the industry you're serving, that they're having a drink. Do you want to come and network with them? You would. And you would go there and you would join conversation, you will listen to what they have to say, you will ask questions, you would do what you normally do in a networking scenario. Now, you're talking about LinkedIn extrovert. A lot of people sometimes are introvert, not just on LinkedIn, but in normal life. LinkedIn gives any introvert, and I'm one of them, the opportunity to engage on their own terms. One of the things I dread the most is when my wife comes to me and says, oh, we've been invited to a wedding. And it's like, I don't know anyone. And the last thing I want to do is to sit at a table with a bunch of strangers. I have to be nice for 4 hours. That's the thing I dread the most. And another couple of people on the participant list, including one of my former boss, I'm sure he will share the same feeling. Now, on LinkedIn, you can network in your own terms. If you're getting bored of the conversation, face to face, you can't walk away. I mean, you try sometimes, you're just trying to look for familiar faces and trying to get out of it. On LinkedIn, you can just do it. Just stop typing. You could be busy. No one expects you to be online 24/7. So you can unexpectedly stop the engagement. That is your own term. You can control that. So if you're a natural introvert, LinkedIn allows you to network on your own rules. And I think that's a very good opportunity that people need to embrace.
I think that's an interesting thing. One thing that I wanted to say, that I love that analogy. If you're 20 people of your audience are having a drink in the pub next door, would you go? Yes, even because you have to. And then I think digitally, the nod when you're in a conversation, the nod that you're looking at Daniele and nodding, or not looking at Ashanti and nodding, the digital version of that are likes, applauses, and It's just a like that just lets you know to have that visibility in that front. And I think that's kind of that's very interesting. I think, Daniele, one element that you've highlighted, can you explain? Because I like when you've mentioned that before you used to copy your event program or excerpts of your event program or your value proposition and post it on LinkedIn. That didn't work. Now, how do you still then, so the $1 million question, how do you sell then on LinkedIn? So if you're being, okay, I'm a sales guy, you need to meet your quota. Yeah. How do you bridge that being seen, being visible, to selling your sponsorship deal or selling or meeting your quota that you need to meet?
I don't think you can go on LinkedIn with that end goal. Can't be too specific. I think LinkedIn is like a marketing strategy for the person. For the person, it's a pull marketing rather than a push marketing. I mean, you can still go and trying to sell your product, but only after you had a conversation. So again, if you're in the pub networking with your audience, you're not going to go in and break the conversation. Whatever they're talking about, they might be talking about the currency fluctuation. You're going to say, oh, by the way, I got a solution for that. You're going to follow that conversation. Then you're going to follow up with your product or services either later on offline, or if the situation allows it, then and there after a couple of drinks. And the same will be on LinkedIn. So you just follow the conversation, and when the time is right, you pre-qualify your audience by talking to them. And when the time is right, you will start probing a little bit more and find out if they're ready to buy. Now, I had people on LinkedIn, and I've only been there for 2 months. I've been invited to join a vendor demo, which then led to them inquiring about sponsoring 1 hour events. I had 2 independent consultants contacting me about sponsoring 1 hour events. I had a situation where someone just been promoted to CPO. I congratulated this person on LinkedIn. You got that facility, you got the notification, so it's been promoted. Just got a simple message, congratulations. She replied, thank you very much. I asked her a question. I said, listen, I'm hearing that in your market, everyone now is facing this challenge. What are you doing regarding to that? Are you feeling the same? She replied, we engaged in a conversation, and then I felt I had the solution, mentioned what I was doing, very interested. She asked for more information, and eventually she became a client. But if I went in with the objective to get a client within a week, within a month, again, I would have been a bull in a china shop. I would have been that kind of guy that goes in, here's my brochure, please buy, please buy. I think sales leaders, managing directors here, where is your producer, where is your sales team? I would be careful whether to give them too many metrics on what to achieve on LinkedIn in terms of sales results. That's going to be organic. It will happen. It will happen organically over time, but it shouldn't be the main objective to be on the platform. You come from a marketing background, you got your direct mail strategy, that's fine, but that's not what LinkedIn is for. LinkedIn is for branding. LinkedIn is for pull marketing. And the same from a sales point of view. You want to go and message 50 people a day, do it. But from experience, if you do a direct marketing campaign, the ratio is not in your favor. As a salesperson, you don't have the luxury to sit there and copy and paste the same message 100 times a day. And even if you do that, it's very impersonal. But you can have 3-4 powerful conversations, you build relationships, and when you feel that the buyer is ready, you present your solution. You might get referrals. But for me, what's been very powerful is actually being able to speak the client's language on the phone. The conversations I'm having now on the phone are much more powerful. I feel much more competent to talk about the industry with prospects, with very senior people, than I was ever before. I mean, in our industry, we get briefed by the producer. We've been told this and this is what the product is about. That brief gives you 1% of what 2 weeks on LinkedIn will give you to understand how to position your product, what the pain points of the clients are.
And I think you mentioned something very good when we were doing the pre-webinar conversations, where you said I might have connected with certain amount of people on LinkedIn, and I might have not necessarily been in a situation where one guy connected and then I sold him a delegate place or a sponsorship deal. But when I'm having a conversation with someone completely different, they would have seen all my behavior that I've had on LinkedIn, and that has definitely helped me and helped build that trust with that person as a person of influence. So your activities, and I think is very clear for sales individuals. LinkedIn is not about prospecting and copying, as you said, KPIs, 50 people, sending outreach emails in the same way that you would do, or emails in the same way that you would do email. It's about being visible, because by the time you have some sort of conversation with someone, that person would have seen you. Or if they have not seen you, and if that conversation was good, they're going to go and check you out on LinkedIn. And then they're going to go and check you out on LinkedIn. They'll realize that, oh my God, this guy is kind of pro. So this guy knows what he's talking about. I think that's an important element that I wanted to kind of to highlight.
Yeah, trust is the key word, I think. You become a person of trust. It's a brand that people recognize. Like, I mean, a lot of the audience here, I believe, is UK-based, probably London-based. If you're looking for a plumber and you hear of Pinnacle plumbers, everybody knows who they are, and you probably think, yeah, it's a trusted plumber. If you get someone knocking on your door that you've never seen before, asking you, do you need any plumbing? You probably think, must be a dodgy individual. No badge, no uniform.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Yeah, and I think that's an important, the trust, and that's kind of what will make you or any person in sales or any actually person putting a program together, is when they know that you are actually connected with other people in the industry, then that's what's going to kind of allow, that's what set you apart from the many people that are trying to be kind of doing cold outreach. Yeah. Now, Daniele, just the same question that I asked Ashanti. What do you think didn't work, and what do you think does work?
Well, so we touched earlier about copying and pasting from a brochure or from a brief, and I think the reason why that didn't work is because it wasn't me. I think, for Ashanti has her own business behind. You got your own business behind you, using it from sort of like a business point of view. I'm using it more as an individual, but still, when you go on it, you're gonna be you. People need to know Ricardo. People need to know Ashanti. Need to know me. So the conversation has to be personal. The same way, again, if we go back to the analogy of being on a normal networking opportunity, if you are in your in the pub having a conversation with your audience, you're not gonna regurgitate your corporate material, your company website. You're gonna talk about you. You might crack a joke. That's why at the weekend I like to post something light, something that maybe I'm doing. Like, I know that everyone knows now that I make pizza at the weekend. I think probably people know me more for my pizza than from my conferences. But people like that because they get to know me. They get to know the real person. If you copy and paste something, people can feel it. I used to post lots of articles at the beginning. Again, going back to the fact that I didn't feel like I had enough knowledge to share, I was sharing the articles I will find online. And again, the algo doesn't like it because, again, you put an external link, but the audience doesn't like it because probably the articles they've already seen themselves anyway. So they think, well, thank you very much, but we all have Google and we can all find our resources online. Mm-hmm. So being you is the key thing. That's what I think works. I feel like Ashanti say, posting every day, having a routine, have your own routine. One of the things I'll do is I'll prepare my post at the end of each business day for the following day. I make sure they always know what I'm going to post tomorrow. I don't log off until I know what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. Second thing is, again, you guys covered everything already, but second thing is find the people that you want to engage with and keep on checking them out. Make sure that you got 5-10 people you're constantly engaging with, because you're sort of like loudspeakers. They will amplify what you're trying to do because they have bigger connection within your industry. So if you engage with them, their connection will see you and they will start noticing you. I mentioned earlier, I think on the slides or on one of my posts that the increasing views I had on my profile, I think it's come down to that because I'm engaging with people of influence and I can reach out more people way beyond my own network. So it's your second network that becomes important by engaging with them. And yeah, when you go into these people post, you might not be able to, here's what happens. Sometimes I put a question on my post, people comment and they give me some very technical answers. I don't necessarily understand all of it, I'm going to be honest. I just ask them to elaborate more. So, okay, that's interesting, to tell me more about it. Mm-hmm. They, again, using the platform for the same reason we're using it. They want to promote their expertise. The more questions you ask them, the more they will come back with answers, and helps my profile because the post gets more traction. The more traction the post gets, the more LinkedIn likes it, the more LinkedIn push it, so more people will see it.
Great.